Hello everyone and welcome to The Bark. My name is Jack McHugh.
And I'm Ethan Pollock, and today is a college basketball special. Well, today we're going to be covering the Big East tournament, we're going to be covering March Madness, and so much more. So let's get right into it.
On Saturday afternoon, the Butler Bulldogs went on their final road trip on a desperate need for a win with a 5-game losing streak currently in hand. Let's see how the Dogs fared against the DePaul Blue Demons. Butler started off the game a little slow, down 19-15 to start the game, but then they went on a solid 30-4 run to take a 45-23 lead thanks to 16 points in the first half for Pierre Brooks on 6 for 6 shooting. They took a commanding 45-27 lead into the half. The Dogs continued to dominate the second half thanks to DJ Davis leading the team with 24 points and 7 rebounds. The team led by double digits the entire second half and will look to build on this win going into the regular season finale against the rival, Xavier Musketeers.
Butler closed out the regular season with a huge win over Xavier at home on senior night. Butler got off to a blistering start, leading the game early 20-4 with everything going the Bulldogs' way in front of a ruckus crowd. The Dogs cooled down a little bit, but still took a 37-24 lead heading into the second half, thanks to 10 first-half points from Jamil Telfort. In the second half, they came out cold, failing to score for over 11 minutes and allowing Xavier to cut the lead to 5. However, Butler finished off the game strong thanks to Jamil Telfort's 18 points and Posh Alexander's 16 points and 4 steals. The Dogs finished the regular season 18-13 with a 9-11 conference record and still have a chance to make it into the big dance with a strong performance in the Big East tournament.
On the women's side, the Bulldogs played their final game of the regular season on Saturday against Marquette to honor their seniors. Carson Norman opened up the game strong with a 3-point jumper for the Dogs. Despite a balanced scoring effort from Butler with 10 players contributing, turnovers played their performance with 20 turnovers compared to Marquette's 7. The Bulldogs showed resilience, closing the first half strong with a 10-0 run, finishing the half 2 points behind at 35-33. However, Marquette's dominance in the third quarter, outscoring Butler, taking a 13-point lead, sealed the outcome. Notable efforts came from Ari Wiggins, Rachel Kent, and Jordan Mullimans for Butler. Marquette's accuracy from the field and beyond the arc played a significant role in this one. Next up, Butler faces Providence in the Big East tournament at 11 a.m. on March 8th. Stay tuned for updates.
With both program seasons coming to a close, let's take a quick look back at the highlights from the men's and women's programs. The men's team was on an absolute roller coaster ride of a season after beginning with a record of 9-2, and hopes were very high in Indianapolis, especially after knocking off Texas Tech in overtime. A bumpy 2-5 start to the Big East play then sent fans back to reality until the Bulldogs got back on track then after upsetting number 11 Marquette in Milwaukee. The team followed this up by going 5-3, highlighted by the incredible 99-98 victory against number 13 ranked Creighton in Omaha. However, the tournament hopes would come crashing down after finishing the season 2-5, which included a 5-game losing streak. While the men's season can be considered another failure, fans could still view this as another major step in the right direction for Thad and company. On the women's side, the Bulldogs also made some progress as a team, especially at the end of the season. Butler flew out the gates, beginning with an 8-3 non-conference record, highlighted by a win at Wisconsin. A 1-9 start to conference play set them back. However, everything changed on February 9th when they upset St. John's at home. The Bulldogs would then win 4 of their next 6 games to end the regular season. Overall, Austin Parkinson is proving to turn this program around, and we wish both programs the best of luck in the Big East tournaments.
Speaking of conference tournaments, Isabel has us covered with previews of this season's men's and women's Big East tournaments.
Thanks, Jack. Both Big East tournaments are approaching next week, where teams will battle for the last time to prove that they need to make it to March Madness. The 2024 Big East men's basketball tournament returns to Madison Square Garden for the 42nd consecutive year, beginning on March 13th. Seeding is still up in the air for many teams as they finish out their regular season games as the road to March Madness winds down. The reigning national champion UConn Huskies are the favorite to win the conference tournament as the likely number 1 seed team. Currently number 2 in the AP rankings, the Huskies have held their place in the national rankings all season with a conference record of 16-2. They are led by NBA prospect Tristan Newton, who leads the team in points per game, rebounds, and assists. He also set a program record last season by recording 2 triple-doubles in 1 year. The reigning Big East champion Marquette is looking to take home the title for the second year in a row as either the 2 or 3 seed in the tournament. The Golden Eagles have 85% of the team's minutes returning from last season and a current conference record of 13-5, making them a contender for a back-to-back championship. However, a key player for Marquette who leads the nation in assists, Tyler Kolek, is currently battling an oblique injury and is questionable going into the tournament. Creighton will likely enter the tournament as a 3 seed with a current conference record of 13-6. The Blue Jays blew out UConn 85-66 in their biggest win of the season and will have to do it again if they want to take home the championship. Creighton will be depending on 2-time Big East Defensive Player of the Year Ryan Kalkbrenner and Baylor Shireman, who leads the team in points per game and rebounds. In 2023, 5 Big East teams earned their way to March Madness, so playing well in the conference tournament is integral for every single team. The first-round games will take place on Wednesday, March 13th, followed by the quarterfinals on Thursday, March 14th. The semifinals will be played on Friday, March 15th, before the championship game on Saturday, March 16th, as teams vie for an immediate entrance into the Big Dance. The 2024 Big East Women's Basketball Tournament will be played at the Mohegan Sun Arena in Ucasville, Connecticut, beginning on March 8th. For the second year in a row, UConn, Creighton, Marquette, St. John's, and Villanova are the 5 teams receiving first-round byes. UConn has won the last 3 Big East tournaments and is the favorite to win once again as the number 1 seed in the tournament and number 10 in the AP rankings. The Huskies are undefeated in conference play and have only lost a total of 3 conference games in the past 3 seasons. They are also the winningest program in the Big East Women's Tournament with 21 championships. UConn is led by 2 WNBA prospects in Paige Bueckers and Aaliyah Edwards. Bueckers ranks 17th in the country in scoring with a 20.8 points per game, and the 6'3" Edwards averages 18.1 points per game. Creighton is the second seed team in the tournament after a successful season with a conference record of 15-3. As a team, the Blue Jays average 74 points per game, only second to UConn in the Big East. They are led by Emma Rosnick, Lauren Jensen, and Morgan Malley, who all average double digits each game. St. John's enters the tournament as a 3 seed, the program's highest position in the last 3 years. They are ranked second in the Big East in scoring defense, with opponents averaging only 57 points a game. The Red Storm is led by Unique Drake, who was previously named the 2022-2023 Big East 6th Woman of the Year and currently averages 18 points per game. The first-round games will take place on Friday, March 8th, as the 6 lowest-seeded teams look for a chance at redemption. The quarterfinals and semifinals will follow on Saturday, March 9th and Sunday, March 10th, leading up to the championship game on Monday, March 11th, as the winner locks in their place for March Madness.
Thanks, Isabel. With Selection Sunday just around the corner, Cole has us covered with the Big East teams that are just on the edge of making the big dance this season.
Thanks, Ethan. With Selection Sunday just over a week away, let's take a look at the Big East teams who will be hoping to hear their name called out.
4 Big East teams are just on the cusp of making the tournament. Seton Hall are a team that will have high hopes of being included. For the Pirates, a positive conference record sees them sitting high in the competitive Big East Conference. Huge wins against Marquette and UConn earlier in the season have helped them build the resume that sees them just on the brink of the tournament. A win against DePaul and a solid performance in the Big East tournament would make them hard to ignore come Selection Sunday. Providence are another team that will be hopeful to have their name called out on Selection Sunday. Like Seton Hall, they too have a resume headlined by impressive wins, this time coming against Creighton and Marquette. The Friars have a tough challenge in their last game as they have to play UConn. Assuming they drop that game, Providence will want to look for 2 wins in the Big East tournament to make sure they receive a spot in March. Look for the trio of Devin Carter, Josh Aduro, and Bryce Hopkins to give the Friars the lift they need. Moving into the teams with a bit more work to do, we have Villanova. Like Providence, Villanova also have a decent record in the conference, and the Wildcats have enjoyed big wins this season against number 7 UNC and number 10 Creighton, but have failed to take down Marquette or UConn. Villanova have to finish their season out against Creighton at home. If they don't win against the Blue Jays and fail to win a game or 2 in the Big East tournament, the Wildcats could see their hopes of making the tournament shrink away. For the St. John's Red Storm, their record doesn't tell the whole story. St. John's battled and lost by a single point to both Marquette and Creighton earlier in the season, and only lost by 4 to UConn. Though these games haven't gone their way, we've seen strong performances throughout the regular season. Unlike the other 3 teams, St. John's finishes their season relatively easy at home against the last-place DePaul Blue Demons to close it out. With a big win against DePaul and a win in the Big East tournament, they should be in, but any slip-up along the way would result in the Red Storm being a long shot for March Madness. The Big East tournament begins March 13th, leading up to Selection Sunday on March 17th. Be sure to tune in to see which teams get their shot at the big dance.
Thanks, Cole. Now let's send it over to Jake in the Sports Corner, who will give us his latest picks on his dark horse run and major upset in the men's and women's March Madness tournaments.
Thanks, Ethan and Jack. Welcome back to the Sports Corner. With the NCAA tournament being right around the corner, this is the time where a lot of mock brackets start to show up. While a lot of people are aware of the best teams in the country, they may not be aware of some of the sleepers in the tournament. So let's take a look at a men's team that has the potential for not just a first-round upset, but that can also make a major run in the tournament. Then we will do the same with the women's side. Starting with the men, Grand Canyon has been one of the great stories in college basketball this season. Coming off their second appearance in 3 seasons under head coach Bryce Drew, the 26-4 Antelopes look poised to not only make the tournament once again, but also potentially make a deep run as well. Grand Canyon is led by their senior guard, Tyon Grant Foster, who's first on the team with an average of 19.4 points per game, which also leads the Western Athletic Conference. The Antelopes also have 2 other double-figure scorers in Gabe McLaughlin and Ray Harrison. Grand Canyon is a balanced team ranking in the top 40 nationally in both offensive and defensive rating, and also lead the WAC in blocks. Assuming they win the conference tournament, Andy Katz and other bracketeers have projected them as high as a 12 seed. Wherever they end up, this is a team you won't want to end up playing in March. On the women's side, the team we are taking a look at is South Dakota State, one of the consistently solid mid-majors in the women's game. The Jackrabbits are 25-4 on the season and a perfect 16-0 in Summit League play. Sophomore Brooklyn Meyer leads SDSD with an average of 17.2 points per game and 8 rebounds per game. While Meyer hasn't taken a three-pointer all season, she is surrounded by a team that shoots 38% from 3. They are also very talented on the defensive end, leading the Summit League only giving up 60.2 points per game. While the South Dakota State has had real tournament success in recent years, this feels like the year where the team can make its first ever Elite Eight. That's all for me in the Sports Corner, sending it back to Ethan and Jack.
All right, that's going to do it for this week's episode of The Bark. Thanks for tuning in.
We hope you enjoyed and hope that you also tune in next week for another great episode of The Bark. Stay classy, everyone, and go Dogs.